Button for the video to start, and you're ready to go, Zelda, when you are.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Velda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have looked. I was doing that from memory. I'm sorry.
Or Nelda, or Velda, or Velda. or Hayden, and Vera, and even Val. So I'm used to that. I'm originally from Wiley, Texas, and that's where my home is today. But my father passed away 3 years ago, and so I moved in to take care of my mother, and she lives in Mount Vernon, and that's how I met Efton, and that's how I got here. But I was, like I said, I'm originally from Dallas, and in about 1995, I was active in the Indian community in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I helped put on a lot of powwows, It's a lot of work, but I met a lot of wonderful people there, and had an opportunity to visit and make friends and good close friends. And so one of the couples that I met while I was there is a couple by the name of John King and Benita King. And he was Ponca, she's Choctaw, and this is a picture of my friend. And so in 1996, I started going up to the Gibbswater family gathering that they had every year. It was a 3-day event that happened on Memorial Weekend. And so I got to go up to the Ponca reservation up there, Ponca Nation, and spend 3 days with these people. And when there was deaths in the family, I went with them up there. And my friend passed away last year. And so I'm going to do this in his honor. And I hope he'll be proud of me. But it gave me the opportunity. I'm not from the Ponca Nation, but it gave me an opportunity to talk about them because I have spent some time with them. And but I am from the Scotch, Irish, French, and Salagi and heritage. So I'm definitely not Ponca, and I'm too small to be a Ponca. Those people are big people.
Really?
And I mean, your size. Even the women are close to that size. So they're quite large people, and I get up there and start doing the round dance with them, and little bitty things sitting down here, and I just, kind of intimidating. So I hope I'm not going to bore you to pieces with this, and I've got it here, and I've got a map to show you where they were located once they migrated over on the west side of the Mississippi. But the Ponca people were originally small woodland tribe of farmers who lived in long house villages and inhabiting areas in the present-day Ohio. So I was over on the east side of the Mississippi, and they lived there for probably hundreds of years. And they were basically hunter-gatherers type people, and they raised crops of maize, beans, and squash. And because of the Iroquois War, because they kept wanting to fight with the Poncas, they decided that they were going to migrate over to the west side of the Mississippi. And they migrated to the Great Plains to hunt buffalo and inhabited lands along the Niobrara River in the boundary between South Dakota and Nebraska. So here's a picture of where they originally migrated to in the southern part of South Dakota and Nebraska. The name Ponca was used by other native Indians to mean head cutters or cutthroat, which reflected the Ponca custom, also shared by the Osage and Omaha tribes of scalping and then decapitating their enemies. Now, isn't that a pleasant thought? Many different tribes of the Great Plains developed a sign language to communicate with each other, and the sign to indicate Ponca indicated this custom. Traditionally, the Ponca share common social and cultural characteristics with the Omaha, Osage, Kaw, and Quapaw peoples. The Ponca and the Omaha have the same language, differing only in some dialect forms and approximating the Quapaw rather than the Kansas or Osage language. I know that my friend, John, was of the Ponca Omaha. So he had somewhere back along the lines, he had some Omaha ancestors. And so the Omaha and the Poncas, when they moved, these 5 tribes kind of moved together, and then they got down to a certain location there. and then they split. And so the Osage and the Quapaw and the Kaw people, they moved over further west in South Dakota, and the Omaha and the Ponca moved down further south. The early history of the tribe is the same as other tribes of this group, and after the first separation is identical with that with the Omaha. So if you ever read and study the Omaha tribe, you're going to what they have on that is basically the same thing that they have with the Ponca. After the migration of the combined body to the mouth of the Osage River during the first division of the Omaha group took place, the Osage settling on that stream and the Kansas continuing up the Missouri River, while the Omaha and Ponca crossed the north side, and I'm assuming that's the north side of the Mississippi. It doesn't, write what I found and tell me exactly what the north side of what. The Omaha and Ponca after crossing the Missouri, ascended a tributary of that river, which may have been the Clareton River, and finally reached the Pipestone Quarry in southwest Minnesota. All traditions agree in stating that the people built earth lodges or permanent villages, cultivating the soil, hunted buffalo, and other animals. When the game became scarce, they abandoned their villages and moved northwest. On reaching a place where game was plentiful, other villages were built and occupied for years. Thus they lived and moved until they reached the Pipestone Quarry. After reaching the Big Sioux River, they built a fort. The Dakota made war on the Omaha and their allies, defeating them and compelling them to flee southwest until they reached Lake Andes, South Dakota. There, according to the Omaha and Ponca tradition, the sacred pipes were given and the present divisions constituted. From this place, they ascended the Missouri to the mouth of the White River, South Dakota. There, the Iowa and Omaha remained, but the Ponca crossed the Missouri and went on to the Little Missouri River and the region of the Black Hills. They subsequently rejoined their allies and all descended the Missouri on its right bank to the mouth of the Niobrara River, Nebraska, while the Iowa went down to the Missouri to the site of Ionia, Dixon County, Nebraska. The Yana, who on Marquette's autographed map of 1673, are placed near Omaha, apparently at the Missouri, about that mouth of the Niobrara River, were suggested to be the Ponca. So that is the earliest history mention of the tribe. With this migration to the area of South Dakota and Nebraska now makes Poncas member of the Great Plains Indians. The way of the Great Plains Indians was indicated by climate, land, natural raw materials available, and animals, fish, birds, plants, nuts, berries, and trees. Their subsistence was related to the agriculture and the hunting. The natural resources and materials available provided the food and the clothing of the Plains tribes. The women wore dresses down to their knees, and they had boots that come up to their knees. So they were basically leather, and the men wore whatever they could to cover up, whatever they didn't cover up. And so the weather and the changing seasons also reflected their way of life at different times of the year. Their language, weapons, trading currencies, beliefs, ceremonies, and religions were also important elements of the way of life. With the introduction of the horse, the Great Plains Indians became expert horsemen and hunters. The horse enabled them to adapt a nomadic lifestyle following the great herds of animals. The Ponca first encountered Europeans in 1789 when they lived in a village along Ponca Creek near the Niobrara River in northeastern Nebraska. According to tradition, they moved there from an area east of the Mississippi just before Columbus arrived in the Americas. Siouxinian-speaking tribes such as the Omaha, Osage, Quapaw, and Kaw also have traditions of having migrated to the west from the east of the Mississippi River. The invasions of the Iroquois from the traditional base in the north pushed tribes out of the Ohio River area. Scholars are not able to determine precisely where the Siouxinian tribes migrated west, but know that Iroquois also pushed tribes out from the Ohio and West Virginia areas in the Beavers' War, and the Iroquois maintained the lands as hunting grounds. The Ponca appear on the 1701 map by Pierre Charles Lesueur, who placed them along the upper Missouri. In 1789, a fur trapper called Juan Baptiste Manure was given an excellent license to trade with, given exclusive license to trade with the Ponca at the mouth of the Niobrara River. He founded a trading post at the confluence of the Missouri, where he found about 800 Ponca residing. The Poncas have never really been a large tribe, and today they're still not large. They're larger than 800, but they're still not large. Shortly after that, a devastating smallpox epidemic hit the tribe. In 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition visited them. There was only about 200 Ponca that remained at their visit. However, this count may not include those who had taken refuge with Omaha. Their population increased rapidly, however, reaching about 600 in 1829 and some 800 in 1842. In 1871, the number was 747. Unlike most other Plains tribes, the Ponca grew maize and kept vegetable gardens, and the last buffalo hunt that they had was in 1855. Up until this time, the Ponca and the Sioux were amicable. However, as the dispute grew out of the cession of lands, the Sioux made annual raids on the Ponca until the enforced removal of the Ponca tribe to Indian Territory, which took place in 1877. Through this warfare, more than a quarter of the Ponca lost their lives. The Ponca never warred with the United States, with whom they signed their first peace treaty in 1817. A trade agreement followed in 1825. In 1858 and 1865, the Ponca also signed land cession treaties in return for military protection from hostile tribes and a permanent reservation on the Niobrara River and for economic assistance. So they was hoping that somewhere in there the Army and the United States government would come in and help them out with food and clothing and stuff like that. During the 1860s and 1870s, droughts, failed bison hunts, and an incessant Sioux threat brought the Ponca to a brink of starvation. Instead of honoring the treaty obligations, the U.S. in 1868 Sioux Treaty at Fort Laramie mistakenly included all the Ponca lands of the Great Sioux Reservation. Conflict between the Ponca and the Lakota, who now claim the land as their own by U.S. law, forced the U.S. to remove the Ponca from their own ancestral land. Rather than renegotiate the Sioux Treaty, the federal government removed the Ponca to Indian Territory in 1877. This administrative blunder by federal agents caused the entire Ponca reservation to be given to the Sioux. When the error was discovered, the government chose to remove the Ponca south rather than admit their mistake. Doesn't that sound like our government today? I don't think it's changed a whole lot.
No.
The Ponca chiefs refused to leave, citing their earlier treaty with the U.S. Most of the tribe refused to leave and had to be removed by force. The Ponca removal was grossly mishandled. The United States not only failed to obtain the consent of Ponca chiefs, but also neglected to provide them with a reservation with adequate facilities. The tribe protested for nearly a decade. However, under military escort, the Ponca's forced removal to Indian Territory began in the spring of 1877. Their trek to Indian Territory was beset with great hardship. The Ponca struggled with malaria, a shortage of food, and the hot climate. 1 in 4 members died within the first year. Upon their arrival in northeastern Oklahoma, they found no shelter and little food. And after the first 2 years, only about one-third of the tribe had perished, and many others were ill and disabled. The displacement of the tribe from lands owned by them in fee simple attracted attention, and the commission was appointed by President Hayes in 1880 to inquire into the matter. The commission visited the Ponca settlement in the Indian Territory and on the Niobrara River, and effected satisfactory agreement of the affairs of the tribe, through which greater portion, some 600, remained in the Indian Territory, while some 225 kept the reservations in Nebraska. The two bands, respectively, 570 and 263, for a total of 833 Poncas. That's all that was left at that time. Their lands have been allotted to them. Allotment in the land rush of 1889 dramatically undermined tribal lifestyle, yet in spite of allotments, the Ponca continued to gather together as a tribe for the winter months and take part in traditional tribal life. Late in the 19th century, non-Indian homesteaders began moving into areas surrounding the Ponca Reservation. In 1889, Ponca City was incorporated north of the reservation, and a large percentage of the Ponca land was leased to the Miller brothers and became the basis for the famous 101 Ranch. As allottees died, the Miller brothers purchased their allotments as they become available for sale. In 1911, Alderman E.W. Marlin struck oil on the land leased with a Ponca tribal member named Willie Price. It proved to be a major strike, ushering an era of unpredicted oil productions in central Oklahoma. By the early 1920s, local oil refineries began to dump oil waste into the Arkansas River, and Ponca City used the river for the disposal of raw sewage. Quickly, the river water became unfit to drink. Life in the river died off, and animals which had left the river area all but disappeared, making already trying circumstances for the Ponca even more difficult. In 2010, the Ponca Tribe won a major law case against oil refineries recovering damages made to their lands. The Ponca Tribe in Nebraska. In 1881, the U.S. returned 26,236 acres of Knox County, Nebraska to the Ponca, and about half the tribe moved back north from the Indian Territory. And they continue, and the tribe continues to decline. So they moved them from up there in Nebraska, all of them, down to Oklahoma, and then some of them decided they'd go back up there when they got the land back. Some of them didn't. After World War II, the U.S. government began a policy of terminating its relationship with tribes. In 1966, the U.S. federal government terminated the tribe, then called the Northern Ponca. It distributed its lands by allotment to members and sold off what is called surplus. Many individuals sold off their separate allotments over decades, and sometimes they were tricked by speculators. Imagine that. In the 1970s, the tribe started efforts to reorganize politically. Members wanted to receive the cultural identity of its people and improve their welfare. First, they sought state recognition, and then allied with the congressional representatives to seek legislation for federal recognition. On October 31st, 1990, the Ponca Restoration Bill was signed into law, and they were recognized as the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska. They are now trying to rebuild a land base on their ancestral lands. They're a federally recognized tribe in Nebraska without a reservation. Today, the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska has over 2,783 enrolled members. The Ponca Tribe of Oklahoma. In 1877, forced relocation into the Quapaw Reservation, the Indian Territory, the tribe moved west on their own lands along the Mississippi and Salt Fork rivers. The Full Bloods built a teepee village on one side, and the Mixed Bloods built a settlement on another river. During the occupation of the Ponca leaderships, the U.S. government began dismantling tribal government under the Curtis Act in an attempt to encourage assimilation to allow Oklahoma to become a state. They allotted reservation lands to the individual members after the Dawes Act in 1891 and 1892. Any land remaining after allotment was made available for sale to non-natives. So what I gathered from that is Oklahoma was wanting to become a state, and that they couldn't do anything, they would not be accepted unless they got this deal with the Indians settled. And then after they got the deal with the Indians settled, well, then they let them in as a state in 1907. After Oklahoma achieved statehood, some remaining Ponca land was leased or sold to the 101 Ranch, where many Ponca people found employment. In 1911, discovery of oil on the Ponca lands provided revenues but had mixed results. There were environmental disasters as oil refineries dumped waste directly into the Arkansas River. The Southern Ponca, under Principal Chief White Eagle, settled on a 101,000-acre reservation, now at the confluence of the Salt Fork and Arkansas rivers and the Cherokee Outlet. They established winter cabins along the Arkansas River, where they continued to practice their tribal customs. They leased most of their land to the Euro-Americans, farmers and ranchers along, including the Miller brothers of the 101 Ranch. Ponca culture came under pressure in the 1880s and 1890s. Agents and missionaries sought to abolish traditional dances, marriage practices, and religious customs. The allotment policy was forced on them in 1892, and they lost much of their land. The Ponca again came under pressure in 1911 after the discovery of oil near the reservations. The development of the Ponca and Tonkawa oil fields caused environmental problems, forcing miners to abandon the winter camps along the Arkansas River. Despite these pressures, the Ponca continued to shape their culture. Many joined the Miller Brothers 101 Ranch Wild West show, which allowed them to reenact aspects of their traditional lifestyle. The introduction of the peyote religion permitted them to establish their own version of Christianity. Two educated young Poncas, Frank Eagle and Louis McDonald, were co-founders of the Native American Church in 1918. In 1919, Ponca World War I veterans formed an American Legion chapter called Buffalo Post 38. This organization revived such traditional war-related practices as the Ponca War Dance, the Hiluska. Dancing remained the central expression of traditional Ponca culture. Throughout Oklahoma, the Ponca were known for the knowledge of songs and dances, and that's one of the reasons why I played Ponca drum music tonight, because for me, there's nothing like listening to a Ponca drum. It's just, I find it really soothing. This made important contributions to the development of Ponca culture in the Southern Plains. In 1926, Gus McDonald was crowned the first world champion fancy dancer, so he was the one that started the fancy dance, earning the Ponca the honor of organizing the World Championship each year. The annual Ponca powwow, the oldest powwow in the United States, is held every August. I've been to one Ponca powwow. One of the greatest challenges facing Oklahoma's Ponca community is the retention of their language. And there's not very many people left that speak the original language. Turmoil characterized Ponca tribal politics during the 1970s and 1980s. Accusations of fraud and mismanagement led to a high turnover ratio of officials in the tribal business committee, the tribe's governing body. When the federal government reduced tribal funding in the 1980s, the committee began a bingo operation to increase revenues, and they still have bingo today. They're they're at White Eagle. Presently, Indian gaming is one of the most contentious issues between the state of Oklahoma and the Ponca community. And there are 8 different clans, I guess you call them. And most of these I can't even pronounce, and so I'm not even going to start, but I'm going to give you the English version. And they're called grizzly bear, meaning people, elk, skunk, buffalo, snake, medicine, and ice. So there's different ones, and my friend John was a member of the bear clan. And I got some timeline, and I'm not going to go into all of it because most of what I said is already in there, but one part that I was going to read to you that I found very interesting because I did not know this. When you go into Ponca City, in the city itself, because the reservation is like 5 miles south of town, and you would miss it if you didn't know it was there. And but when you go into the city, they have probably a 40-foot tall statue of Standing Bear. And so you can go, okay, well, who's Standing Bear? Well, we know he was a Ponca chief, but I really wasn't aware of some of the things that he had done. Get back over here. Standing Bear was born in 1829. And in 1875, Chief Standing Bear and some members of the Ponca Tribe, accompanied by Indian agents, visited Oklahoma, because this is where they were wanting to move them. So they said, well, let's go look at it. So him and Standing Bear and several members with the Indian agent, they all traveled, and I'm sure they traveled by wagon or whatever, horseback or whatever. And they go down to Oklahoma, and Standing Bear just immediately said, I don't like this at all. And so when they met with the people there, where they was wanting to move them, and they said, we don't like this land, and we're going to stay where we're at, the government left them there and made them walk 500 miles back to Nebraska. And took them a year, because this was in 1875, and they didn't get back to Nebraska until 1876. In 1877, in May, Chief Standing Bear and 600 Poncas were forced by Bayonet Point to walk to Indian Territory. So now we got to walk back down there to Indian Territory, which is another 500-mile walk. And in 1878, in just 1 year at the reservation, 1/3 of the Ponca people died of starvation and disease. The son of Chief Standing Bear said son had died. His son had died. And one of the requests that the son has made, that, you know, when I die, I want you to take me back to the Ponca land, and I want you to bury me there. So Chief Standing Bear walked from Oklahoma all the way back to Nebraska, taking his son. So here's another 500-mile walk back. Takes his son, and the government wants to arrest him because now he's off the reservation. But Chief Standing Bear takes refuge with the Omaha, and he gets his son buried, but he stays in Nebraska. And so I thought that was just really amazing, because look at how many times he made that walk from Nebraska to Oklahoma. And in 1878, Chief Standing Bear walks from Oklahoma back to Nebraska to bury his son and takes refuge with the Omaha people. In 1879, the U.S. Army tries to force Chief Standing Bear back to the reservation, but the residents of the Omaha tribe, they obtained a writ on behalf of the Ponca, and they took the Army to federal court. In 1879, the trial of Standing Bear, the civil rights Standing Bear versus Crook, began May 1st in 1879 before Judge Elmer Duddy in the U.S. District Court of Omaha. The court established for the first time that Native Americans are persons within the meaning of the law of the United States, and they do have certain civil rights. So he was a civil rights person for the American Indians.
Now, who was that?
Chief Standing Bear. In 1909, Chief Standing Bear dies, and he's buried with his ancestors in Nebraska. So, like I said, I thought more than welcome to look at this. But this, you go up there to the Ponca Nation, and like I said, if you're driving down the highway, you see a little sign out there that's not much bigger than that sign back there that says the Ponca Nation, Whitey from Oklahoma. But you've got to get off the road to go down there to see where it's all at and what's going on. And I know that my friend was a member of the United Methodist Church, and when he died last year, they have a tradition that when a family person dies, that he lays in wait for 4 days before they bury him. And on the day and they have services every night, like funeral services every night. They feed every night. And so they feed all the people that come in. And then on the 4th day, they feed lunch to everyone. They have a giveaway. Then they have the services. And then he's buried. And they mourn for 1 full year. And then on the anniversary date of that family member, then the family gathers back there in Ponca City. They have another, the family pays for all this. They have cook another big meal. They feed 300-400 people. They have another giveaway. They go out to the cemetery and do their thing out there. And then after that, they can participate in powwows and dances at powwows. They could go to a powwow during that 1 year of mourning. They just can't dance. They can't participate in any activities like that because they're still in mourning. And so being there with his family was really a very unique learning experience for me. And I felt very fortunate that I was able to do that.
How far is that from Ponca?
Ponca is 25 miles south of the Kansas state line, and it's about 10 miles off of Interstate 35 going up to Oklahoma City.
Not to terminate, right? So it is the same thing on the west coast, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. They did that, I'm sure, to a lot of different native people.
Now, did you go to the service itself?
Yes, I
Did you see anybody with a walking stick?
did.
Because a lot of times when they're doing their year-long mourning, they carry a walking stick, and if they're at a powwow and they got a walking stick, you know that why they're not dancing, why they're not doing anything, that shows that they're in mourning for a year.
Oh, okay.
I just wondered if any of them had one there.
I really don't remember, but I was there. I wasn't there for the first day, because he died.
So they're reduced now to, well, you said, last call was like 1,200 people or a couple
Yeah,
thousand?
they're, between the two tribes, between the Ponca Nation of Oklahoma and the Ponca Nation there in Nebraska, there's about 7,000 people, enrolled members.
Now, are they federally recognized? I think you said they are. Right.
That are
So they did
recognized.
sign a treaty. Yeah, that's what they did.
So they're federally recognized, and John adopted my youngest granddaughter. And so she has her own Ponca name. And we went through the ceremony when he adopted her, and she was 2 when he adopted her. He wanted to adopt her when she was born. My daughter goes, no, let's don't do that now. And so he did. We went through the ceremony when she was 2, and so he adopted her. So she's one of the tribal members now. But it was a very unique experience, because I had not experienced anything like that. Because I was raised in the white culture, and had always been told that I was Cherokee. We couldn't prove it, and I found my first proof that I might be able to use about 6 months ago. So this is about 11 o'clock at night, and I'm on the computer, and I found this, and I jumped up and I printed it off. I'm standing there and I'm looking at it, and I'm having a little happy dance. Because I actually found something that can do the connection that I've been looking for so long.
You said you're part Scottish, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Scottish. Matter of fact, Chief Bull,
Yes.
he was Scottish.
He was Scottish, yeah. And so
Yeah,
was
and
John
he was-
Ross.
Yeah, and, yeah, 'cause I believe, let's see, Lynette,
He's from my tribe.
right, Chickamauga was,
Yeah.
are all.
I haven't been able to prove it, but one of my relatives that I've talked to on the phone from time to time, we had an elusive ancestor by the name of Nancy, and she sent me a email, and she says, I found Nancy, you won't believe who she is. And I said, well, no, of course, we never had a last name. And so she says, she is a descendant of
Dragon
Dragon.
Canoe?
Dragon.
Yeah.
Dragon Canoe.
Nancy Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I went, okay, well, now I've been doing some searching, and I haven't found anything. So I don't know what she found, but
you
she,
might, we got a bunch of stuff on that.
yeah, so when I listened to I did the YouTube after the last meeting, well, I was listening to what you said, and you had that book, and I went, oh my stars, I'd love to look at that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for you to read that, Nancy Ward.
We got a letter that was sent, when Linda did her, ceremony, and, she painted Dragon Canoe, and, at any rate, she said, well, she could do it, but what do you look like?
Right, because all you see,
Well,
all
so
I
then
see
Richard
is
Spraker,
just drawings.
who's a tribal, shaman, he said, well, we got this letter that come from a guy, and he described him and all this kind of stuff. So this is where we started finding out all about Scott, because one of her relatives is Captain John Stewart, and he became Dragon Canoe's uncle.
Ah,
He's the one that wrote the letter.
Right. He's the
When
one
I got
that-
the letter and I was reading the letter, all these names made sense, and I went to my lineage, and they sent me a letter that's from my family that we didn't even know had it. We didn't know about it.
Yeah.
The tribes had it in their archives the whole time.
oh my goodness.
And when they sent it to me for the information,
It was
Now we
about,
have-
Stewart, wrote a letter to people in Edinburgh, Scotland, about his adventures in the colonies of America. In the fall of Fort Lawton, all this kind of thing, and wrote some King's English, and, it's pretty entertaining, it's about 14 pages long,
I bet it was.
yeah.
Bet it
But,
was.
Very interesting.
yeah, it's, pretty interesting, but then that downrange came to Chief Bull. Chief Bull was killed up here,
Yeah,
there's a
right,
book
right
out
in
here,
Zane County.
also, what is, John Reagan's memoirs, and it tells all about Chief Bull. And the Texans, that murdered the Cherokees out of the 13 miles northeast, or east of Title.
Yeah,
Battle
I've
Mountain.
been there, have you been there?
No, I haven't.
Annual thing.
Yeah, I go with the group down there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, and that's, because we have land in Benzel County, and so I like, when I go up and down at 64, I wish I had time to pull over and go down there.
but something pretty interesting,
I wanna
you
go
know,
see those
why I'm
cattle.
telling you that, because I was really interested, I like history, you know.
Oh, I do too.
And, at any rate, this memoirs is, it
I wanna go
tells
see
all
the
kinds of
cattle.
stories.
Mounds down that direction.
Palestine's
Have
supposed
you
to
seen
have.
No.
I wanna go see them.
Okay,
See the
That's the
what?
cattle.
Cattle mines?
Not mines,
Mounds.
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 Are you
It
talking
was in
about
the newspaper.
Highway 37?
Yeah, who was it that gave us a newspaper?
That was,
Was it F?
Bill Jones.
Oh, Bill
Yeah,
Jones.
Bill,
He
yeah.
brought a newspaper last time and give us, and it shows them the mounds and where they're at.
yeah, Palestine, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I wanna go down and see those.
Yeah.
Just a minute,
Well, I think I've
Where?
said all I have
Livingston.
to say, so if you don't have, you have any more questions, maybe I can answer. Don't shut down. All right,
Now, you're living right over here in,
Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon.
I moved in to take care of my mother, so. But my legal address is Wiley, Texas.
Wiley, which is down by
It's east of Plano,
Plano.
northeast of Dallas.
Well, it's nice of you to share the information about the tribe
Well,
for your friend.
I couldn't, I thought, I will never remember all this, so I'm sorry that I read it off the
No,
sheet.
that's
No,
fine.
but
that's-
you know,
That's good.
I
And
just
I'm
wish
sure
that-
he's smiling down on you for doing it for him.
And I just wish that I had more time with him because, you know, boy, you can imagine all the stuff I can learn.
You ever been to that powwow up there? I'm sure you have at Delacroix, the church.
No, I've not been up there.
Oh,
I've been
you
to
gotta go up
Delaware, but
there.
I've not been to the
The
Powell.
museum is fantastic. They put all this together. They got the, it's really neat. They
Yeah.
got some,
Well, for a while, they let commercial people come in with their goods and stuff, and it was going downhill instead of uphill. Finally, they decided you can't put a booth up unless you're a carded Native American.
Yeah.
So now they're pulling back their people again.
I'm gonna tell one thing, and it's not a joke, it's truly happened. John had the best sense of humor. He laughed at everything, and he laughed all the time. Well, in 2000, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and they removed his stomach. And so they gave him 6 months to live, but he lived until May 7th of last year. So he lived 16 years without a stomach, which was very difficult. And, but he has such a great sense of humor, it was just really funny. Well, he was self-employed, and he had no insurance. And so he wasn't able to work after he had his surgery, and his wife was his caregiver, and so, to make a long story short, they were just flat broke, and they were beyond flat broke. So when he passed away, they take him to after everything was said and done, they took him to the funeral home in Canton and had him embalmed. They didn't put him in a coffin to transport him to Oklahoma. The funeral home, they couldn't afford to pay the funeral home to transport him up there by ambulance, so they got the permit from the state, and they transported him in a cardboard box in the back of a U-Haul truck. And so when he gets to Ponca City, Oklahoma, well, they take him up there to the funeral home in Ponca City, and they put him in a casket, and then they take him out to the Ponca Nation Tribal Center, and that's where they made him stay. And when I got there that afternoon, they had just got there with the U-Haul truck. So they were going up they were going up 35 and going into Ponca City, and I'm going the back roads up the Indian Turnpike going to Ponca City. So we're like this, kind of parallel going up there. And so they were unpacking the U-Haul truck there in front of the travel center. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at that U-Haul truck, and I just burst out laughing. And his family turned around and looked at me and they go, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Don't you know that John's got the biggest laugh? He's been a joke. This is a joke. His last joke he can play on y'all." And that's driving, going up to where he's going to be buried, riding in the cardboard box in the back of a U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
He would think that was hilarious. And he would just laugh about that. And, but that was, they just didn't have the money to rent, have to pay for the hearse to take him all the way up there. And so, they got all the permits that was necessary that they needed to transport him. And so they put him in a long cardboard box and slid him in the back end of that Ponca, of that U-Haul. So now when I see a U-Haul truck, I say, "Oh, there goes a Ponca truck."
Yeah.
But, he was such a jokester. Anybody else probably wouldn't think that was funny at all. But, he liked to play jokes on everybody. He was always laughing, always having a good time. And I said, he got the last laugh on us yet.
Right.
Because he rode up there in the back of a U-Haul trucks. He was a very funny man.
One of the chiefs that I came, they always, they're very quiet, have nothing to say, always have a real straight face on them. One day I asked him, I says, "Is that part of your tradition to look so serious and never smile?" He said, "No, if there isn't something to laugh hard about, we don't bother."
That's where he was. He just had such a jolly disposition about it. He was laughing all the time about something. And he'd get up there at those family reunions, and I'd be sitting back there in the lawn chair, and having his relatives or friends be over there, and that you just hear them. They're just rolling in the grass just about because they were, so telling things that they did when they were kids, and everybody would just laugh and just, just laugh. But that's the kind of person he was. He was a very, very jovial person. And I just sit there and when I started laughing, the family just go, "Oh, this is the time of mourning." I said, "No, it is a time of mourning." But John's got the last laugh on us yet. So he was a very, very nice person. And I've got a big poster of this at my house, but I couldn't find it. My house in Wyoming, but I did find this one. This was taken for the Indian Center there in Dallas. And what they were doing at this particular time, this lady here is an Apache. Her name is Vera. And she had to stand on the box because he was so tall. He's about your size. And but they had a program going on that stated that Native Americans, full-bloods, do not get Alzheimer's. And so that was one of the things that they were talking about. So I don't know why. I don't know exactly what the science is behind it, but they were saying that they didn't they don't have Alzheimer's. But urban travel center is one, but they made a big, huge poster, and I got it at the house. I got that this summer. But it's one that's been put up in a safekeeping spot, and I don't know where the safekeeping spot is because I don't remember. But this is where this. That's why I got this stuff for him. And they displayed it for a long time in their center, in the travel center there, and they were doing a study on Native Americans and Alzheimer's.
Interesting.
I enjoyed it.
I never heard that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
If you want to see happy people, like you said, go to a reservation, and it doesn't take you very long to figure out that it doesn't take money to be happy, because they absolutely don't have it.
They don't have any money. I mean, they literally don't have any money. And one of the things that when I was involved with Power House, John had started a organization called Zinga-Wai-Thai. Whatever it is, it's Ponca for something about children. and we did coats and shoe drives. And so every Christmas, every Native American child in the Dallas-Fort Worth area got a new pair of tennis shoes and a new coat. And so we put on all these different powwows. We put on like 6 a year. That's a lot of work to put on 6 powwows a year. But we put on 6 a year, and out of the raffle tickets and the blanket dances and just donations that we got, we had enough money that we bought all these kids brand new coats and shoes. And that Christmas time, those kids were just as happy as they could be. It was just like, well, just like Christmas, just very, very happy. I was also involved in the Tribal American Native PAN, whatever it was called, TAN network. And we put powwows on. I think we did 4 a year for them. But this money was raised for scholarships for graduating high school students. And so that was a lot of fun. And especially the year that I was on crutches and broken my ankle and I was on crutches and I was trying to help with this power. But it was worth it. It was all worth it because it was with kids. And, that's where the future is. The future's in our community, in the children. So, but we, it was enjoyable. I miss it. So, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good job.